I flew on WestJet's inaugural flight to Japan. This historic 10-hour journey is the airline's first ever flight to Asia, flown with their Boeing 787-9 Dreamliner. WestJet announced this new route from Calgary to Tokyo back in December last year, and predictably, I kinda booked it the very same day. Honestly though, this made for the perfect opportunity to visit Japan again. My last trip there was over 8 years ago, and seeing how significant this particular inaugural is, I knew this was one not to miss. Today's flight starts in Calgary's International Terminal, where WestJet has this pretty large check-in area. On this flight, I splurged a bit and got myself a seat in WestJet Premium, since it's actually the only seat on their Dreamliner that I haven't tried yet. Besides, you can't go wrong with a little more space on a 10-hour flight like this. After going through security, and with a couple hours to spend still, I hopped on the YYC link over to WestJet's Aviation Lounge. WestJet Premium doesn't necessarily get you lounge access, but I had a couple of vouchers, and today was the perfect day to use them. I met up with a few good friends who I'd be spending the next couple of days in Japan with, and enjoyed some excellent free food. WestJet's Aviation Lounge is seriously underrated in that regard. Surprisingly enough, there were also some special Japanese dishes here in the lounge. I'm not sure whether this was specifically for today's flight, but they were delicious. This, plus the usual excellent selection here, was the perfect way to start this trip off. Back in the international terminal, our plane to Tokyo was sitting at Gate 80, this less than a year old 787-9, registered as Charlie Foxtrot Alpha Juliet Alpha. WestJet's Dreamliner operation has been one of the central parts of their strategy shift they announced last year. This very plane is supposedly the last 787 that they're taking, with the fleet now numbering 7 airplanes, down from the 10 that were originally on order. As far as I can tell from their schedule, there will be a few days this summer where all 7 will be in the air at the same time, so they're gonna be busy. Still, that's not to take away from the significance of today. This is the first non-stop flight that Calgary has had to Asia in over 3 years, since Air Canada stopped their flights from here to Tokyo, and Hainan stopped theirs to Beijing in 2019. At the gate though, there was this surprisingly low-key setup, with this table of matcha cookies for passengers on the flight. In fairness, those were so good, but I was a bit surprised that there wasn't more going on, especially for an airline's inaugural flight to a completely new continent. WestJet's new CEO at the helm of all of these changes was also, interestingly, not in attendance. On the one hand, I guess it was a Sunday, but still, you'd think there'd be a lot more fanfare for a new route like this. The reason I say that is, I flew their inaugural Dreamliner flight to Dublin in 2019, and they went all out on the airport festivities then, so the comparison here is interesting. Still, we did hear a few words from one WestJet executive.
Again, morning here on our first inaugural flight for WestJet to Tokyo, and they want to welcome you on board. I hope that you'll take some time to enjoy some treats. We've got some matcha cookies on the table here, and in a few short moments we'll start boarding here. Thank you everyone for joining us on this momentous first flight to Asia. Thank you and have a safe flight.
So with that, let's go to Tokyo. My seat for today is 8K, in the last row of WestJet's premium cabin. This cabin seats 28 passengers in a comfortable 2-3-2 configuration, which was also why I wanted to sit here. The extra seat width and legroom is a definite improvement over regular economy. You cannot go wrong with this perfect engine view too. Pretty soon after sitting down, our delightful cabin crew member Terry came over to introduce herself and gave out these menus. These were printed in the usual English and French, plus Japanese too. We were also given these pre-departure drinks.
Welcome on board. This is WestJet flight number 18, now departing with inaugural Boeing 787 Dreamliner service to Tokyo Narita. Flying time to Tokyo this afternoon will be 10 hours and 15 minutes, flown at a planned cruising altitude of 38,000 feet. Weather for our arrival tomorrow afternoon, sunny skies and a temperature of 22 degrees Celsius. In command.
I'll take the usual look at everything after we're in the air, so please enjoy that glorious GEnx engine sound as we depart Calgary's runway 17 left.
Pulling the red tab will inflate the life vest. You can also inflate it by blowing into the tube.
With that stunning departure over the city, we settled in for the long haul ahead as the eastern slopes of the Rockies came into view. Those very views refused to quit for about the first half hour of the flight. Heading a bit further north than you would on your average Calgary to Vancouver flight, we saw a whole different part of the Rockies, and I was mesmerized. After appreciating the views for a bit, I think it's about time I show you what this seat's all about. Front and center, obviously, is the large in-flight entertainment screen, which I'll go through a bit later, and this coat hook on the side too. This literature pocket here had a very glossy safety card and an air sickness bag. Below that is this surprisingly large seat back pocket, which had a complimentary bottle of water, these headphones for premium, which I think are just the same as the business ones, just without noise cancelling, and this amenity kit too. I'll open that up in a second. The actual seat back pocket also has this smaller one on the outside for loose items. Moving on to the right side of the seat, you'll find the tray table, which folds out, sits at a good height, and also slides too. Between the seats is this little shelf for drinks, plus another one that pops out. Below that is this remote control that also pops out, and is best used for playing games. Behind that are the two seat controls. One of them controls the footrest, which is actually pretty usable for me, and then the actual seat back recline. Further back is this interestingly placed power outlet, plus the headphone jack, and what seems to be a bit more storage space. Each of these headrests are adjustable as well. Shortly after the seatbelt sign went off, Terry came through the cabin and took our meal orders. That was followed up by these hot towels. While we wait for the meal service, here's a look at the amenity kit. Inside here was a pair of socks, an eye mask, lip balm, earplugs, and this coupon code. Honestly, a lot more than I was expecting to get for WestJet Premium. Plus, the kit itself just looks nice. While we were boarding, we were given these gift bags from WestJet, which included this box of duty-free cookies, some lotion, lip balm, wet wipe, and this bag tag. Now, don't get me wrong, it is super nice of them to give out free goodies for the occasion. It just feels a bit like they found some extra bags from the Dreamliner launch 4 years ago, and then kinda threw in some amenity kit extras. As those clear skies from before were replaced with a solid layer of clouds, these tablecloths appeared. That was followed up by this drink and snack, and I went for WestJet's premium signature drink, which is apparently a combination of Sprite and orange juice. An unlikely duo, but it was very tasty. We saw a couple mountain peaks through the clouds as we approached the BC coast, and eventually found ourselves over open water. By that point, the meal trays reached our row, and I went for the chicken teriyaki as the main course. That came with a warm bread roll, an Asian salad, and some green tea mochi for dessert. I'm pretty sure these are brand new dishes for WestJet, so it's understandable that it took a bit longer. However, they were well worth the wait. The chicken was cooked perfectly, not too dry, and just tender enough. The bread roll was super soft and delicious, though maybe a bit tricky to cut. The Asian salad was fresh and crisp, and had a great combination of flavors. The green tea mochi was also a nice way to finish the meal off, though I think it's a bit of an acquired taste. For what it's worth, the beef was really tasty as well. I think it's safe to say WestJet nailed these main courses. Following that, the cabin lights were turned off as we continued over the Pacific, with another 8 hours to go still. Seems like as good a time as any to check out the in-flight entertainment. WestJet has added a lot more content since the last time I flew on their 787, including some movies in Japanese. There are plenty of TV shows to choose from as well, plus the games too, which are helped a lot by that remote. There's also the excellent moving map too, and I was hoping to get some views as we crossed over part of Alaska. We ended up getting a look at the Kodiak archipelago before passing over more clouds. From then on, I tried to get some rest, and also edit as much of this video as I could. Our crew, who were all just fantastic by the way, checked on us multiple times throughout the flight and supplied plenty of drinks. I did try out the pillow and blanket briefly, and the blanket especially is very comfy. Also, for what it's worth, WestJet had Wi-Fi available for purchase, with the entire flight costing about $22. Spread that over the 10 hours, and it's not that bad a deal, but it is just a bit slow to use. On their 787s, behind the premium cabin, WestJet has this fold-down counter in the galley, which had a bunch of snacks that premium passengers could help themselves to. That area is also where you'll find the 2 premium lavatories, which are roomy enough. About 2 hours away from Narita, the second meal service began with the tablecloths once again. Along with some much-needed caffeine at this point, this meal consisted of these stir-fry noodles and this watered chestnut salad, plus a small Black Forest cake for dessert. That stir-fry was very nicely seasoned, and the salad was also nice and fresh still. A great way to finish off this memorable flight.
We'll be commencing our descent into Narita, Tokyo in about 8 minutes' time. We are still presently about 200 miles back from the airport. We're estimating touching down there. Looks like it's going to be about 4:55 local time.
With that, we were on the descent, and soon got our first glimpse of the Japanese coast. Here's the arrival into Tokyo Narita for the very first time, landing on runway 16 right.
You to Tokyo Narita. Local time here is 5:02 p.m. on Monday, the 1st of May. As we taxi to the gate, please remain seated with your seatbelt.
So, that was WestJet's inaugural flight from Calgary to Tokyo. First and foremost, the onboard portion of this flight was fantastic, and it just reinforces my belief that WestJet is phenomenal at the long-haul operation. Those high-quality meals in a premium economy seat, plus the constant beverages, and the super pleasant service, thanks Terry, made for a genuinely really enjoyable flight. WestJet's Dreamliner premium seats are also pretty comfortable, though I think like any seat, you do get tired of them after 10 hours. Honestly, it was the wider seat and extra shoulder room, which is usually not there in Dreamliner economy, that really helped, plus having a friend in the aisle seat with me. For this flight specifically, premium was 100% worth the extra price. I think what was a bit unexpected was the lack of fanfare for what genuinely was a momentous occasion. You could tell as we were deplaning here that Narita Airport was doing a proper event with a ribbon cutting and everything. I just don't think it being a weekend at home is a valid excuse. WestJet did have 4 months to prepare after all. In the grand scheme of things, I know this does sound like a silly metric for comparison. It's just that if Air North, Lynx Air, and Jetlines can have arguably far more put together events for inaugural flights, this was kind of unfortunate. Regardless, I am happy that this connection between Calgary and Asia is finally back, and I certainly hope this is a route that sticks around on WestJet for a long time to come.
Cabin crew, disarm doors and cross-check, please.
Thank you very much for watching my experience on this historic flight, and I'll see you next time.